Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blog, where I shake my brain nipples every day so I can get some of that dirty YouTube money so I can afford to provide you folks in-person hands-on technology education in Durham, North Carolina. We're having a class on SQL and AI tomorrow. We're having a class on AI and web scraping coming up on November 19th. We're going to have a class on AI and REST APIs, AI at the edge with Raspberry Pis. A whole bunch of different classes are going to be coming up. If you're interested, go to Silicon Dojo or silicondojo.com. Do remember, free to the end user is not actually free. There's a donor box link down below if you would like to throw a couple of dollars in there. And so this is kind of an interesting news story in the world of artificial intelligence. And I think it goes along the line where I tell a lot of my viewers that you may not actually want to come to the United States for your technology career. It might be better for you to either stay at home or go somewhere else. So I've talked about this for a long time, right? Where I have a lot of my viewers are non-American. They're not international, because where they're at, they're local, but they're non-American. But there's this whole idea, like, you gotta come to America for some reason. Now, to be clear, I'm red, white, and blue. I'm a patriot and all that kind of stuff, but I understand that the United States might be a bit of an acquired taste, and especially with our immigration policy. Well, one, how it was a disaster. That was a year ago. Now it's gotten even worse. And I think a big thing to be thinking about in this modern world is, do you actually need to come to the United States to be successful in your career? Now, we did have a Silicon Valley founder on a little while ago for one of our fireside chats, and he said that no place in the world beats Silicon Valley, right? It's due. He's coming up with contextual AI, a RAG 2.0, if you know what the hell that means. They've got $100 million in founding. And for him, having come from Meta's AI labs, creating his own startup, getting $100 million of investment, and trying to go at hyper speed into the world of AI, there is no better place in the world than Silicon Valley. But one of the things I just want to put on the table, one of the things that you really need to ask yourself, you need to go and look in the mirror and ask yourself is, do you really want to be a rock star? Do you really want to be a ninja in the tech world, right? Do you want to be actually at the cutting edge? Or do you want to do some pretty interesting things during the day, make the world a little bit better, and get an outsized payment for doing said things, right? I think a lot of you folks out there, that's actually what you're a little bit more interested in. And the thing is, like, if you actually look at the technology and you look at the distribution of the technology over the world, the fact of the matter is there are a massive number of technology projects all over the world. There are a massive number of technology careers all over the world where you can do fun, interesting things that make the world hopefully a little bit better, where you will make above whatever the medium wage in that country is, and you can have a pretty damn nice life. Do you really want to leave your family and friends and culture and society and all that kind of stuff to come to the United States, where some people think we might be a wee bit racist? Mr. Fong. Or would it be better just kind of stay at home, right? And so this is what this particular story, I think this is interesting, with Microsoft. So coming from Associated Press, Microsoft to ship 60,000 NVIDIA AI chips to UAE under US approved deal, right? So with these artificial intelligence GPUs, we've got this whole anti-China thing going on, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, there's all these export controls and restrictions on all kinds of other idiocy. There's a lot of questions on basically who can actually get access to a lot of these types of GPUs. So apparently this has actually been sanctioned by the Trump administration for Microsoft to send these chips to the UAE. And one of the interesting things to be thinking about out there is that the Middle East is dumping a crap ton of money into artificial intelligence. Now, I don't know where it's going to end at the end of the day. I don't know where AI itself is going to end at the end of the day. I don't really understand where the Middle East fits into the whole AI thing. But one of the important things to understand is they've got lot of money and they are willing to spend it, right? An important thing to think about, like as a professional, especially as a consultant, there's a lot of people out there that would say, I would never do something that I don't agree with. You're like, really? Here's the thing. And again, I had this with my clients back in the day. They would tell me what they wanted done. And I would look them square in the eye and I would say, look, I'm the professional, you've hired me, and I think that's a bad idea. And they would look at me and they'd be like, you're right, I hired you. If you would like to continue receiving money, I need this project done. Okay, here are my concerns, but at the end of the day, you're boss. And they would tell me, go. And the funniest thing, it'd be like a month later, the entire project will fail. And one of the important things to understand is I would communicate the entire way. One of the reasons I talk about communication, one of the reasons I talk about treating your boss and whatever else like a human being is because then you can talk to them. And they see, oh, how's it going? Oh, these computers are just refusing to replicate their databases because it's different fucking operating systems. They're not supposed to be able to replicate. I'm trying to figure a workaround. Oh, okay. And then 2 days later, so how's it going? Okay, I found a workaround for these systems to be able to replicate their data together, but for some reason, there's a conflict with these things called TCP ports, and you've got these firewall rules and the rest of your infrastructure. This is one of the reasons I didn't want to touch this goddamn thing with a 20-foot pole, but don't worry, we're gonna figure this out. Right? You just go through a fucking month. You go through a fucking month, and every time you see the executive, every time you see the CEO, how's it going? And you look at them. This is the shit show that I'm dealing with. This is how I solved the previous shit show. This is how I'm trying to solve this shit show. I really hate this shit show. And then at the end of the month, when the project fails, the executive or client will have seen all the work that you've done. They will have seen all the work that you did. They would see that you went into it, you told them not to do it, you did the work, and then it was a crap show. And then the funny thing is, they will write you the check. They'll write the check and they'll say, okay, next time we'll listen to you. Next time, yeah. I was curious to see how that would work out. Obviously, there's a reason you're the professional, Eli, and I'm not. Like, yes. Right? But that is an interesting thing to be thinking about right now, especially in this modern world, especially with AI, right? Because I'm very anti-AI. People are like, Eli, you're so anti-AI. But then in Silicon Dojo, all of your classes are about AI. It's like, yes. Because I'm AI washing all of my classes. That's what we're doing. I could have a class on Python and APIs. How many people come to a class on Python and REST APIs? Right? Providing information to your AI app with REST APIs, or improving AI apps with REST APIs. Right. Who wants to come to structured query language? AI with SQL, right? One of the things you realize in the world is sometimes if you actually want to pay the rent, sometimes if you actually want to be successful, you got to shine the turd. You got to shine the turd to a spit polish. You got to figure out the way to sell the sizzle. Okay, you don't sell the steak, Zig Ziglar said, you sell the sizzle. So that's the thing. I'm teaching you SQL. The sizzle is AI. So I think this is one of those things to be considered for a lot of folks out there, right? There is a lot of money in AI right now. Is AI stupid? Yes. Is AI in a massive bubble? Yes. Is this going to end badly for all of us? Yes. If I was a consultant right now, I would be selling the shit out of AI. Here's the thing. If you know the entire economy is going to explode, you try to get as much gold as possible until the economy explodes. That's how the fuck it works. These people are going to spend the money regardless. You might as well take it, put it into gold, and bury it under your house. But anyways, that's just how NASB looks at things. So Microsoft has shipped 60,000 NVIDIA AI chips to UAE under US approved deal. And I do think this is interesting, again, from that internet non-American audience, right? A lot of countries out there are putting a tremendous amount of money into artificial intelligence, regardless how stupid it is, right? They have all been told this is more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Whoever owns AI owns the world, or some other horse crap. And so they're all dumping metric crap tons of money into it. So here's the thing. If you can't stop people from spending money on stupid crap, then you might as well sell them stupid crap. Just gotta say that. Microsoft said Monday it will be shipping NVIDIA's most advanced artificial intelligence chips to the UAE as part of a deal approved by the U.S. Commerce Department. I also think this is interesting too, because we talked about this before, where Satya and Nadella came out. We did a video yesterday, or I did a video yesterday talking about it, where they actually have more GPUs than they know what to do with. I do also wonder if this is a bit of GPU laundering. So again, I was surprised. One of the things that I find fascinating doing these commentary videos is so many times, like, I'm not reading between the lines. I'm not like, with 30 years of experience. I'm just looking at what the fuck people say. I'm like, did anybody notice what this guy actually said? Like, it's there, right? But that's one of the interesting things. Like, Satya Nadella literally came out and said he does not have enough slots for all of the GPUs that he already owns. Right? We did the video talking about it yesterday. Fucking shocked the shit out of me. Like, even in the back of my head, I kind of thought that. Like, I'm surprised, like, the CEO of Microsoft would come out and actually say that. So one of the other interesting things to be thinking about this is this a way to launder GPUs? So one of the big problems we have right now with this whole AI bubble is that it's just too damn big. And with the whole cyclical business cycle that's going on, this whole cyclical investment goat screw that's going on, is just getting stupider by the day. As I've talked about before, right, NVIDIA is now worth $5 trillion. But then NVIDIA provides $100 billion to OpenAI, literally just so OpenAI is able to buy NVIDIA hardware, right? You see Microsoft now owns 27% of OpenAI. OpenAI is spending like $350 billion with Oracle, right? You've got this whole thing going on in the AI world, and the whole idea is that AI, the value of AI is beyond anything that you can ever possibly comprehend. So basically, we just need to pump more and more and more money into artificial intelligence. Obviously, that's the future. Well, here's the thing, right? As I've talked about before, especially with investors, right? There's optics. There is the reality, and then there's how investors perceive the reality. So as I've talked about that before with like the return to office mandates, right? One of the reasons a lot of these companies are pushing these return to office mandates is they need to get rid of employees. They need to get rid of a crap ton of employees. The problem is that they lay off too many employees. The optics is that the company is doing poorly. Even if they're not, even if revenue is up and even if profit is up and even if they're successful, the fact that they're laying off thousands and thousands of employees looks bad optically, and that can spook, what's called spooking investors. One investor gets scared and sells their shares, and another investor gets scared and sells the shares, and all of a sudden, like, $100 billion is wiped off your cap table. So one of the things that you have to be thinking about with a lot of these companies, again, the optics. So if you say, we're going to require return to office, and then a certain number of employees decided not to comply with the return to office policy, that's not a layoff. That's simply, hey, we did a little bit of a reshuffle, we did a little bit of reorg. Most employees came along with it. Some employees didn't. Right? Again, if you're an investor, it's like, oh, okay, that looks fine. Right? Here's the thing, right? With the sales pitch, right? With the snake oil horse crap we've heard about artificial intelligence, it's always about more, bigger, not enough. What happens if more and more stories start coming out where NVIDIA GPUs are literally collecting dust? What happens if more and more stories start coming out where big tech companies are literally simply buying GPUs to take the fuckers off the board? What is the optics of that? And how damaging can optics be, not just to a corporation, but entire industry? And now AI is so tied into everything else within our society, how could it take down the entire country? And so an interesting thing to be thinking about here, when you hear about Microsoft selling 60,000 or moving 60,000 GPUs to the UAE, is that 60,000 GPUs that are going into service, right, to actually or is it simply shuffling for the moment, shuffling around inventory assets so that it appears something is being done with them to be optically good for the investors out there. And that's one of the things I do get concerned with all this. This is just, again, it's math with this at this point. Like, there is the argument on AI. There is the argument on the intrinsic value of artificial intelligence. And then there's AI valuations. Nothing to do with each other. Anyways, let's see. Redmond, Washington software giant said licenses approved in September under stringent safeguards enable it to ship more than 60,000 NVIDIA chips, including the California chipmaker's advanced GB300 Grace Blackwell chips for use in data centers in the Middle Eastern country. The agreement appeared to contradict President Donald Trump's remarks in a 60 Minutes interview aired Sunday that such chips would not be exported outside the U.S. Asked by CBS News' Nora O'Donnell if he will allow NVIDIA to sell its most advanced chips into China, Trump said he wouldn't. Quote, "We will let them deal with NVIDIA, but not in terms of the most advanced," he said. Quote, "The most advanced, we will not let anybody have them other than the United States." I do think this is an interesting thing with Trump, and to be careful about with this whole AI revolution thing. Remember, Trump is working off of diktat, right? Remember, the Republican Congress people. The Republican Congress people are a bunch of fucking welfare queens at this point, castrated poodles, pissing on themselves, pretending to be alpha dogs, not being men and doing their jobs. And so we have a lot of legislation essentially passed by decree, not even passed by decree. He just decrees it and it becomes so. One of the curious things with this is the whole question of does he know what his own administration agreed to? And could that come back to bite somebody's ass in the future? I think that is something to actually be concerned about if you're in the UAE. The UAE's ability to access chips is tied to its pledge to invest $1.4 trillion in U.S. energy and AI-related projects, an outsized sum given its annual GDP of roughly $540 billion. That's one of the other interesting things with a lot of this, especially under the Trump administration, is people make statements, people make promises. Whether they can afford to actually pay those promises is a hell of a question, but that doesn't matter for the big banner that Trump can put up there. So supposedly, this is part of UAE's $1.4 trillion set of investments, for a country with $540 billion in GDP. See how well that works out. The UAE ambassador to the U.S., Yusuf Al-Otabi, said in a statement earlier this year that the arrangement was, quote, setting a new gold standard for securing AI models, chips, and data access. Microsoft's announcement Monday was part of the company's planned $15.2 billion investment in technology in the UAE, which it says has some of the highest per capita usage of AI. Microsoft had already accumulated in the UAE more than 21,000 of NVIDIA's graphics processors chips through licenses approved under then President Joe Biden. So it has accumulated 21,000 of the chips. What is happening with 21,000 of the chips? Quote, "We're using these GPUs to provide access to advanced AI models from OpenAI, Anthropic, open source providers, and Microsoft itself," the company said. So it's saying that it's using the 21,000 GPUs that are currently in the UAE, and it is sending 60,000 more. Is this real? Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows in this whole AI rat race? I do think the interesting thing, though, for my viewers is basically that whole idea of essentially, do you need to come to the United States? Especially now, like even a year ago. To be honest with you, even a year ago, our immigration policy was horse crap. It was just garbage. It was just garbage a year ago. And now we have whatever the hell we have going on. All right, so there's a legitimate question of do you actually want to come to the United States? Right? And a lot of people say, well, to be a technology professional, to be successful, to do all these things, you have to come to the United States. One of the things I really want you to see now is the dispersion of technology, and the dispersion of advanced technology really is going all around the world. And the reality is for the level that you actually want to be, you might be fine either where you're at or someplace that you find as comfortable. right? Again, maybe it's UAE. Whether UAE is comfortable with you, that's a debate for another time. But again, whether it's UAE, whether it's Germany, whether Britain's putting a big AI push in there. Lots and lots of different countries are trying to build out their AI infrastructure and other tech infrastructure. And what you might find is that you get a much more successful career, and for you, it might actually be a much more profitable career to be doing things outside of the United States, right? There apparently is no replication of Silicon Valley for the rest of the world, but on the same hand, do you really need to go to Silicon Valley? That's a big question there. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Microsoft sending 60,000 NVIDIA chips to the UAE, basically, to add to the 21,000 chips that they already have there? What do you think about this? Again, we just heard from Satya Nadella yesterday that they literally have GPUs collecting dust because he doesn't have enough slots to put them in. Is this a big investment in the Middle East? Or is this simply laundering your GPUs to make it seem like they're actually being used for something, when in reality, they're just in transit from point A to point B? Look, you can't argue with us, right? Like, we ordered the GPUs, and then they took time to ship to us, and then once they got shipped to us, then we had to do inventory on them, then we had to put them into the warehouse, then we had to have a discussion of how we did implement the GPUs, and then we decided we would ship them to the UAE. So then we had to re-inventory all of them. Then we had to pack them to ship them to UAE. And then we were looking, it's like, oh, we could have next day shipment to the UAE, and that would cost us $1,000. Or we could have like 6 months shipment to the UAE, and that only cost us $100. So, we're trying to pinch our pennies. So we decided to go with the 6-month shipment to the UAE, and then once it gets to the UAE, then it's got to go through customs, and once it's got to go through customs, it's got to go to the warehouse. You see how you can work at Elon Musk's speed, right? You can work at ludicrous speed and get an XAI data center built in like a month. Or you can move GPUs around ever so slowly, and nobody can really say anything because look, they're in transit. What do you want me to do about it? Do you think a little GPU laundering is going on? I think a little GPU laundering is going on. What do you think about this? Where Trump may not realize what his own administration has agreed to. I don't know, there's so much going on with this whole AI stuff nowadays. Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a moron. Just be a real Lutnick and give us a strong American comment down there. Don't be a miracle with no weak European comments. We only want red, white, and blue strong. We want comments as strong as our beef. Just don't ask why our beef is so strong. There's a lot of muscles on that cow. I'm just saying, there seems to be like an abnormal number of muscles. Why is the cow doing bench presses? I didn't think cows were supposed to do. Hey, Mr. Lutnick, yeah, your cows are doing bench presses. Your cow's supposed to do that. Anyways, remember what I actually care about is Silicon Dojo. SiliconDojo.com, free to the end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do. We have a class on AI and SQL. We have a class coming up. We have a class on AI and web scraping coming up. We have AI at the edge. AI, because everything's got to have something to do with AI today. If you're interested, take a look at the schedule at SiliconDojo.com. Do remember, free to the end user is not actually free. There's a donor box link down below if you want to throw some money in. And with that, see y'all later.